My last video on Xenoblade has taken off in ways that I never expected, and I can only assume that means some of you watching this right now will want to see more Xenoblade content on this channel. So here you go my friends, more Xenoblade for you. How are we today everybody? I hope you're all good. My name is Peter and for this video, I'd like to talk about why I'm eagerly anticipating the release of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, set to come out worldwide on the 29th of May this year. While I've already released a video in which I give my advice to potential Xenoblade newcomers, the purpose of this one is to cover what I myself am personally excited for leading up to the Definitive Edition's release, as I feel I didn't really go into enough detail on what I myself am looking forward to seeing. But before we get started, make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the Peter Gargan channel to stay tuned for future content. Also, don't forget to ring that bell with notifications on so that you don't miss the latest. Thank you very much, and with that out of the way, let's get into the video. The first thing that's immediately obvious when taking a look at this remake for the first time is the visual overhaul the game has been treated with. While I thought the graphics in the original looked okay for Wii standards, some felt that they were still held back by the Wii's limits. Some have even stated that the graphics were one of the major complaints they had about the game as a whole, so with the Switch version improving the art style, at least in my opinion, that's one less problem with the overall experience out of the way this time round. From what I've seen, I can really get behind the upgrade, as the characters look a lot more expressive compared to last time, something which I thought Xenoblade Chronicles 2 also had going for it. I think this will give the game more of a timeless feel to it, as I feel it will continue to look great many years down the line. There's also so much beautiful scenery across the worlds of Bionis and Mechonis that you can immerse yourselves into, and seeing it all in HD for the first time will be an absolute feast for the eyes. I can't wait to see more of one of my favourite worlds in gaming being taken to this new graphical level. Next up, I wanted to talk about some of the changes being made to the general UI and combat. Although there's not much information to go off as of the time of recording, the small amount of footage we have seen has some interesting things to note. For example, we can now see a meter showing the duration of battle effects such as break, something we also saw in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It's a small detail, but it's a change I can really get behind, as it is a better visual cue for players to know exactly when to inflict topple for example, so that they don't do it a second too late, meaning there's more room to plan ahead for your next move. I also think the UI generally seems to look a lot less cluttered compared to the original, potentially improving the level of immersion the player may feel, something that's always nice to have. One of the Definitive Edition's biggest selling points for veteran players returning to the game has got to be the new content that comes in the form of Future Connected. This is an additional, never seen before epilogue story set to be taking place 1 year after the events of the original game. Focusing on Shulk and Melia's exploration of the new Bionis shoulder area, which was cut from the original game, Future Connected will also be available from the moment you first play the Definitive Edition, meaning you can jump right in if you want to experience it before the main story. On the one hand, I feel that there's a risk that having it available from the start means that newcomers could potentially get spoiled of the game's ending, but at the same time, veteran players may want to start with the new content due to their familiarity with the main story they've already experienced. Personally, I'm going to play the main story first, then check out Future Connected after I beat it, as I feel this is the playing order that will provide the impact that was intended to be made. I'm also really looking forward to seeing how these characters we've grown attached to will be explored, as I see Future Connected as a great opportunity to see them being put in new situations, so this will make it more interesting for returning players. Also, it seems as if there will be new combat mechanics thrown in, meaning it wouldn't be too far-fetched to suggest that Future Connected is the original Xenoblade's version of the Torn of the Golden Country expansion we saw for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. One of the multitude of reasons why I love Xenoblade Chronicles so much has got to be down to the soundtrack. It is full of memorable tunes that really help establish the atmosphere of each environment and situation that you find yourself in, and in the Definitive Edition, the soundtrack has been completely remastered. While we've only heard a few samples so far, I can't wait to experience the soundtrack in a whole new way now, as playing through the game will keep me anticipating the different ways that each soundtrack will presumably be enhanced. If the remixes of Gao Plain and Engage the Enemy that we've already heard have anything to go by, we're all in for an auditory treat. Last, but certainly not least, I'm simply just looking forward to experiencing this game all over again. Normally, I don't bother with getting remakes or remasters of games I've already played and currently own, but you know Xenoblade is a special case when I'm making an exception for it. As I've stated before, it is one of my favourite games of all time, and it has one of my favourite stories ever told in gaming, one of my favourite soundtracks, and the world itself has such a unique premise to it, so I just can't wait to be even more immersed this time round. Seeing as I've experienced it through the 3DS version, I'm ready to experience it at a console level of quality, which I initially missed out on by skipping the Wii original. The future of the Xenoblade franchise looks bright, and I'm sure the definitive edition will become another success for Monolith Soft after Xenoblade Chronicles 2's stellar performance sales-wise. Maybe we'll see more Xenoblade characters join Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as part of the second Fighters Pass, a Switch port of Xenoblade Chronicles X, maybe even Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for whatever console Nintendo does after the Switch. It's been so nice to see a series that was initially seen as rather niche and obscure develop into a Nintendo staple over this past decade, and it's possible that it could become just as much of a household name as the likes of Mario, Zelda, Pokemon and Splatoon if it isn't already. Anyway, that just about does it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know if you're excited for the definitive edition in the comments below. Also, would you be interested in seeing more Xenoblade content on this channel? The last video I did for Xenoblade did absolutely insane, so I'm interested in seeing what you have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see you later.